Hi, I am Dr. Elina Hartwell. Welcome to my channel. There is a quiet question many couples begin to face as they grow older together. Not do we love each other, but something more subtle. Are we still growing together while growing older? From a psychological point of view, long-term love does not stay the same. It evolves. It shifts through different emotional phases. What begins with excitement and intensity gradually transforms into familiarity, routine, and shared history. But here is something important to understand. This change is not a decline in love. It is a transition into a different form of love, one that is deeper, but also more delicate. In later life, especially after many years together, relationships are no longer maintained by attraction alone. They are maintained by understanding, patience, and emotional balance. And this is where many couples quietly struggle. Not because love is gone, but because the balance between closeness and individuality becomes harder to manage. Psychologically, every healthy relationship requires two things at the same time: connection and space. Too much distance creates emotional disconnection. Too much closeness creates emotional pressure. Finding the balance between the two is what allows love to continue growing, even with age. One of the most important shifts in later life relationships is learning to accept change in each other. People do not stay emotionally or mentally the same throughout life. Interests change, energy levels change, perspectives change, even communication styles evolve. Sometimes one partner becomes quieter while the other becomes more expressive. Sometimes one prefers routine while the other seeks variation. From a psychological perspective, conflict often arises when we expect the other person to remain exactly the same as before. But growth is a natural part of human development. Instead of resisting these changes, couples who grow together learn to adjust to them. Acceptance does not mean giving up on each other. It means recognizing that change is part of life, not a threat to love. Another important element is emotional space. Many couples assume that being together all the time creates closeness. But psychologically, emotional closeness also requires individual space. After years of shared responsibilities, retirement or later life can sometimes lead to spending more time together than before. While this may seem positive, it can also bring new tension if boundaries are not respected. Each person still needs moments of independence, time to think, reflect, engage in personal interests, or simply be alone. Healthy relationships allow this space without interpreting it as distance or rejection. In fact, emotional space often strengthens connection because it allows individuals to return to the relationship with a calmer mind. Communication is another key foundation. Over time, couples often fall into familiar communication patterns. Some of these patterns are helpful, while others can become emotionally exhausting. From a psychological point of view, communication in later life is less about frequency and more about quality. It is not how often you speak, it is how you speak when you do. Blame-based communication creates defensiveness. Silent withdrawal creates distance. But calm, honest communication creates understanding. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen," which creates resistance, a more effective approach is, "I feel disconnected when I am not heard." This type of communication reduces emotional tension and increases openness. Another important factor is emotional regulation. As people age, emotional sensitivity often increases. Small issues may feel more significant, and past memories may resurface more easily. Without emotional regulation, small disagreements can grow unnecessarily. From a psychological perspective, emotional regulation means pausing before reacting, understanding your emotional state, and responding thoughtfully instead of impulsively. This does not mean suppressing emotions. It means expressing them in a way that does not damage the relationship. Even a short pause before responding can change the entire tone of a conversation. Another essential element of growing together is appreciation. In long-term relationships, appreciation is often reduced because familiarity replaces novelty. People begin to focus more on what is missing rather than what is present. But psychologically, appreciation is one of the strongest emotional bonds in relationships. A simple acknowledgement, thank you, I appreciate you, or even noticing small efforts can strengthen emotional connections significantly. When people feel valued, they naturally become more open, more patient, and more connected. Another important aspect is letting go of control. In earlier stages of life, one or both partners may take on leadership or decision-making roles within the relationship. But in later life, trying to maintain control over each other often leads to resistance and emotional tension. Psychologically, healthy relationships shift from control to collaboration. Instead of trying to change each other, couples learn to influence through understanding, respect, and dialogue. This creates a more balanced and peaceful dynamic. It is also important to recognize that emotional needs may change over time. One partner may need more conversation, while the other may need more quiet. One may seek emotional expression, while the other may prefer simplicity. These differences are normal. The key is not to eliminate differences, but to understand and accommodate them with empathy. When couples acknowledge each other's emotional needs without judgment, relationships become more stable. At the heart of growing together while growing older is adaptability. Adaptability means being willing to adjust expectations, communication styles, and emotional responses as life changes. It also means recognizing that love is not static. It evolves. In early life, love may feel passionate and intense. In middle life, it may feel structured and responsible. In later life, it becomes quieter, more reflective, and more emotionally grounded. Each stage has its own beauty, but only those who adapt can continue to experience connection without frustration. As the day ends, reflection becomes a gentle but powerful tool. Taking a moment to ask, did I respond with understanding today? Or, did I allow space for connection? Helps maintain emotional awareness. This reflection is not about perfection. It is about gentle growth. In the end, growing together while growing older is not about staying the same. It is about evolving side by side with patience, respect, and emotional awareness. It is about understanding that love is not measured by how unchanged it remains, but by how well it adapts. So here is your call to action. Starting today, choose one small change in how you relate to your partner or loved one. It could be listening a little more, reacting a little less, or allowing a little more space. Practice it gently and consistently, because relationships do not stay strong by accident. They stay strong through small acts of understanding repeated over time. And when two people are willing to grow, not just individually, but together, they discover something very meaningful. Love does not fade with age. It deepens with care.